Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Hello everyone, how are you? Today the topic of our discussion is difference between prejudice and discrimination. These two terms most commonly used interchangeably, but there are some prominent differences between these two terms. So in this presentation we will be discussing a few of the differences between these two terms, and then in the end we will also discuss some examples of these two terms. So let's move on. The first difference between these two terms is their definition. Prejudice. So first of all, I'm going to read it, then I'm going to explain what this definition means. Prejudice is inflexible and irrational attitudes and opinions held by members of one group about another, usually means having preconceived beliefs about group of people or cultural practices. Prejudice can either be positive or negative. Both forms are usually preconceived and difficult to alter. What this definition is talking about, that prejudice is our preconceived beliefs about a people or a group. Then it talks about that there are two types of prejudices. It can either be positive or it can be negative. They have their own impact. And it also talks about that it is very difficult for anyone to alter those prejudice beliefs of someone's. The definition of discrimination is the negative behavior or action against an individual or group of people on the basis of their social identity. That's the definition of discrimination. I think it's a pretty straightforward definition. I don't have to explain that definition. So let's move on. The second difference between these two terms is what they represent. Prejudice represents internal beliefs of a person, and discrimination represents direct negative action toward a person or a group. It's the functional part, while the prejudice is the abstract part of that thing, while discrimination is an active or action part of discrimination. So the component, prejudice is a component of cognitive thinking. As I said earlier, it's an abstract part, while discrimination is a behavioral component or a functional component, we can also say that. The fourth difference is of legal action. Legal action cannot be taken on the prejudice because it is not a thing to be conceived in the law, while legal action can be taken against discrimination because it's the thing that is being acted upon. So it can be quantified, or we can say that it can be defined in the law properly for it to be a crime. Examples of prejudice. These all are the examples of prejudice: racism, sexism, religious prejudice, ageism, nationalism, classism. What these prejudices are talking about, that differences on the beliefs of race, beliefs on the basis of sex, belief on the belief on the basis of religion, on the basis of class, either it is rich or poor. The examples of discrimination are, for example, harassment on the basis of color, sex, gender, or sexual orientation. Another example can be wage discrimination based on the person's sex, either it's male or female, or on the basis of, as in this it is talking about that offer a lower wage to new immigrant having similar experience or skill as a non-immigrant. It's also a discrimination. Being fired when you are pregnant, it's also called a sex discrimination because the employer is discriminating between the two persons. So these were the examples of discrimination, and that's our presentation's end. Thank you very much for listening. Like, comment, share and subscribe this video, and also you can provide me suggestions about the next video. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.